Hi, welcome back to my channel where I change the angle every time I'm on camera. So ever since I founded the movie dumpster, suggestions and requests for that series have come to occupy 50% of my messages, mentions, and comment section. They've also corrupted 100% of my sanity. Don't get me wrong, it's totally gratifying that some of you guys like my videos enough to want more of them and that you even care to wonder what my thoughts are on specific movies. It's just that this abundance of suggestions is starting to spawn a couple of issues. The first one being that I answer all of my DMs, but when half of them are requests, it can get really tedious really fast. There are only two possible outcomes for this interaction. I get that request a lot. Hopefully I'll get to it eventually. Or I've actually never heard of that film, and because of the magnitude of my potential garbage movie list, it's unlikely that I'll ever get around to watching and reviewing something only one person has asked for. Thanks for watching though. This isn't to say I want you to stop requesting. I need the repeated requests to know what's in high demand, and there's always a chance that your less popular request becomes popular, or that it will spark some memory of a garbage movie I had blocked out for some reason. I would just strongly prefer if these requests were kept in the YouTube comment section as opposed to anywhere else. That way I can log them in my brain without having to attempt to explain why I will or won't be pursuing them. This would actually be a good video to leave some requests under because it's relevant. It might seem like you're more likely to contact me if you message me, but I read all of my comments for the first 2 or 3 days a video is up. I also tend to keyword search my comment section to see how many people are bringing up specific titles, and messages are just completely exiled from that. Not to mention, it's just a lot more fun for me to answer questions and talk to you guys than to have to tell a bunch of people I can't review movies they have a personal vendetta against. The more topical problem that my plethora of requests and suggestions has posed is the epidemic of movies y'all want me to talk about that I don't really want to talk about. In the early days, if everyone was requesting something, I would do it. The best example of that is the Bratz video, and it did well. That's my 3rd highest viewed video. But even though I don't necessarily disagree with everything I said, I never actually cared about that movie. I don't have any strong emotion towards it, and it wasn't something I had a desire to talk about until you guys asked me to. As I get farther along in my YouTube career, I just realized that I don't want to talk for the sake of it. I'd rather have something to say, so even though I know making a garbage movie video about the Clique would be a smash hit on my channel, it would do really, really well, I don't have enough to say about it. It's not something I care that much about. I mean, you guys can make videos about it. I don't care if you come for my brand. Let's be rivals. I just won't be creatively fulfilled or feel confident in my content if I'm forcing myself to say things I don't really believe. So basically, this is just my long-winded way of explaining that I'm starting a new series. Or hopefully it'll be a series. If you guys hate this video, then we'll just pretend it never happened. The general idea of it being compiling some mini reviews of highly requested movies into one video so that I can talk about things that I think are still worth talking about and that you want me to talk about, but that I definitely don't have enough to say about for a whole video. If all goes well, each volume will have a theme. This time it's tween throwbacks y'all hate, but that I don't hate, because I'm nice. Let's get started because this intro has already overstayed its welcome, that's for sure. I know you're watching when you see me walking. The thing about the Clique is that next to The Nut Job and Bratz, it's my most highly requested video ever. You guys really want me to talk about this movie. A lot of you really hate this movie. Whatever day in middle school we were all reading the Clique and deciding that the movie sucked, I was sick, okay? I was absent that day because I never really was aware of its existence until you lot started bringing it up to me. I think one of my old Bring It On DVDs had a preview for it, but that was the extent of my exposure to its small slice of cultural relevance. When you guys started bringing it up to me, I thought it was inevitable to talk about it eventually. I thought that one day when I watched it, I would hate it as much as you guys and I could just make a garbage movie video about it. But upon watching it, I think it's fine. Sure, the girl from Switched Up Earth sounds like she's plugging her nose the whole time.
I got this at CVS for $1.20.
I find the idea that Massey dresses this mannequin every night instead of trying on clothes laughable. They show exteriors of the house like they're trying to sell it. Massey falls right into the cookie cutter mean girl archetype you know I love to go off about, and it is totally unearned for the two main characters to reconcile at the end without ever sharing a moment of understanding beforehand. But it has Bridget Mendler and a poster for A Cinderella Story in the background, so let's enjoy these simple pleasures in life. Really, what I mean to say is that if I saw this movie when I was 12, I would have thought it was the bomb. Much like the other two movies I'll be talking about, actually. Obviously, I'm not above picking at things that were meant for a young demographic, but unless it's almost insulting to me, I don't see any value in talking about the middle school Gossip Girl. I mean, that's what this movie is. It's a gateway drug for Gossip Girl. And I love Gossip Girl. I can't make fun of its weird little sister. All jokes aside, I think this movie isn't half as bad as it's made out to be. There are things to dislike about it, no doubt, but it's far less annoying to me than something like Legally Blondes or Bratz. There's a clear and easily digestible message. The story arc is cohesive. I don't think any of the actors are half bad. A lot of well-known people got their start on it. I actually recorded my first time reaction to it with Bailey, but something happened to the audio and it was unlistenable. But even if it weren't, there wasn't much content there because, like I said, I don't have much to say about the Clique. I do wish you could hear us plug our noses and mimic that girl though. I would rate it a -10 out of -1,000. Like, we're not in positive number territory here, but it is not as bad as it could be.
Voluptuous. Oh, are you saying I'm fat?
Listen here. I like Angus Thongs in Perfect Snogging. It's legendary. You guys are just mean. Okay, there are some things I've come to realize are less than stellar about it, but overall, I think it's awesome to this day. I was so surprised when this title started coming up in suggestions because I used to adore this movie. I think it has so much more comedic longevity, style, and character than any movies that are comparable to it. In the little genre of made-for-TV movies for middle school girls, this one is much more compelling to me than like any of the others. I wouldn't say it's realistic, but it has a much more down-to-earth vibe and a little bit of raunchiness to it that like nothing else has tried for. So many of this film's little moments have stuck in my head like as iconic moments, specifically the eyebrow scene and kissing classes. In my brain forever. I think the problem that a lot of people have with this movie, and I can understand it too, is that the main character is kind of a brat. Yeah, she's the worst. Totally selfish. And even though near the end she has a little character development montage, she still doesn't earn her happy ending because none of her self-improvement techniques were ever enacted. It ultimately has a similar problem to what I have said about Sierra Burgess. The main character makes a lot of mistakes, and you could say that she's learned from them, but still, it's the people that she's wronged who end up saving the day in the end and apologizing to her despite the fact that she was in the wrong. However, I almost think that the book and movie are kind of aware of this, at least a little bit. I mean, I think Georgia is the way she is because she's a much more realistic depiction of a middle school girl than we usually get. At the end of the day, looking back, I think the reason this movie spoke to me so much is because I was a middle school girl when I watched it. Or I might have been in elementary school, but I was like, you know, around that age. And I was selfish at that age too. I watched it and I didn't think she was ever in the wrong. They probably still should have made the character enact her reconciliations with the people that she fought with. So narratively, there's still some problems, but I'm willing to forgive the movie for its ending for still being totally awesome and British. I would rate it 6.5 thumbs up out of 6 thumbs up and 3/4.
Did you order a sandwich?
I may hate Aquamarine as Marnie, but I do love Aquamarine though. I mean, come on. It's about a mermaid. I've never watched anything about a mermaid and thought it was anything less than magnificent. I mean, I haven't seen Mako Mermaids, which probably pales in comparison to H2O, and Kid Julia was really upset with that Mermaid Barbie movie. But as a general rule, with some exceptions, mermaids are a win. They're a win from me. They're the best mythical creature next to the Pegasus and sirens, which aren't the same as mermaids to any capacity. They resemble birds more than fish because Demeter gave them wings to search for Persephone when Hades kidnapped her. I did a lot of research on sirens in middle school because I read the Water Songs series and I wanted to write a Wattpad book about sirens. I didn't, don't worry. Anyway, back to Aquamarine. I'm less willing to critically defend this one. If you think it's bad or dumb, then that's cool. It's something I like for nostalgic purposes, but it's not the hill I'm gonna die on. Although, clearly, I would die on the Angus, Thongs, and Perfect Snogging hill. I can't even really explain why I like it. I don't actually remember it that well. Probably should have watched it for this video, but little late now, here we are. All I can say is Emma Roberts plus mermaids equals Julia approved. See, this is why I can't make a video about it, because my critical analysis is I like mermaids. That's it then. Leave me new or repeated requests in the comments, and then I can pick a new theme and do this again sometime down the line. Also subscribe or unsubscribe, you know, whatever the heart desires. For once I can say I'll be posting next Monday because I have a brand deal lined up and I'm contractually obligated to post, so I won't let you down.